What's up, y'all? So today I'm gonna be talking about how when I moved to another state, my hair fell out. Back in 2013, I moved to Massachusetts for my first corporate job. I used to work in health IT, and when I moved, at the time, it expanded me personally and professionally. But on the flip side, I noticed that physically I was struggling. So what was starting to happen was that my skin and hair started to dry out. And I honestly couldn't figure out why. My hair was shedding more than usual. The products that I was used to using weren't working like they did in the past, like they did in Houston or in Texas in general. And honestly, up until this point, I felt like I had gotten my hair to a point where it was a great length for me and it seemed to be pretty healthy. After some trial and error, I decided to go to the doctor. And do you know what the doctor told me? He said that I should shower every other day. I didn't think that that was a viable solution because number one, I worked out most days. And number two, I'm like, there are other humans who live in this climate. Surely there are some people who shower every single day. So I started to do a lot of research and trying to figure out how to keep my skin moisturized and how to keep my hair moisturized. One thing I did stumble upon was that honey was a great humectant. Humectant meaning that it helps your hair hold on to moisture more easily. I ended up finding the Shea Moisture Manuka Honey hair care line, and honestly back then it was amazing because it was a solution to my problem. Like, it brought so much moisture to my hair, and I honestly attribute that to the honey. So I said this to touch on one of the things that I notice sometimes in my salon, and that is when people move from one state to another, specifically one climate to a different climate, usually they might have a change in their hair and skin. And I feel that if you are boggling your mind trying to figure out what's going on with my hair, what's going on with my skin, why is it too dry, that could be it, because I'm from Houston. Houston is super humid. I'm used to having very moisturized, hydrated hair and skin, whereas while I was in Massachusetts, it is a drier climate. Another thing I think that could have had an impact on my hair when I moved to Massachusetts was the fact that I was so used to being outside. I was a track athlete, so we were outside at least 5 days a week in the sun. I was getting vitamin D. I was taking iron pills on a regular basis. I was eating nutritionally well because as an athlete, you have to be focused on what you're eating, not just what you're training like, but also what you're eating. So I had all that built up for me while I was in Texas. So now moving to Massachusetts, it was just a completely different lifestyle. I went from being outside on a regular basis to now being in a cubicle. And I will say I did used to travel for work, so I was more on the move. I wasn't just constantly in an office, which was great for me. But still changing that environment from having regular sunlight, having a regular eating schedule, to now having to figure out what you're gonna eat, especially when I'm traveling, and then also being inside majority of the time. I think that was another factor that changed the way my hair and skin reacted. So that is one thing that I constantly tell clients whenever they are having hair loss issues, is they need to check their iron levels, specifically ferritin, because sometimes iron can be okay for your body, but your ferritin levels are too low. And if your ferritin levels are too low, then your hair is going to fall. So check out with your PCP or a dermatologist to see where your levels are so you can take action. Another thing is vitamin D. We do know that vitamin D can have a big impact on our bodies in general. So if you are low in vitamin D, you may need to consider getting that up. Again, this is not something you should just increase without having actual blood work done, because you do want to know where your levels are starting at, just to see where it started and then how it increased as you continue to supplement or improve your diet. So I will say that is another factor that affected how my hair experienced the new climates. So the two things I want you to take away from this video are, one, consider how your environment is having an effect on your hair, especially if you just moved to a new climate, because as you heard in my story, it can definitely have an impact on your hair. And number two, consider how your nutrition may be affecting your hair, and consider supplementing. But again, I would talk to your PCP or talk to a dermatologist so that you can get blood work done to make sure where your levels are and to see how you increase it through supplementation or through improving your diet. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my next video where I talk about how I got my hair cut at Supercut for the first time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you here again next time. Bye.